French President Emmanuel Macron and Joe Biden of the United States have welcomed the rescue of the 4 Israeli hostages from Gaza. Meeting in Paris, the two leaders said they would work to reduce tensions in the Middle East, including between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. The war in Ukraine was also in focus, with both leaders affirming continued support for Kyiv. Biden warned that Russia's Vladimir Putin would not stop at Ukraine.
You know, Putin not going to stop at Ukraine. It's not just Ukraine. It's about much more than Ukraine. All of Europe will be threatened. We're not going to let that happen. The United States is standing strong with Ukraine. We're standing with our allies, and we're standing with France.
TW's Sonia Falnikar told me more about the talks between Biden and Macron.
Well, the main takeaway for me from those press statements that President Biden and Macron made today in Paris was really a message of unity and solidarity between France and the US and indeed all of Europe when it comes to supporting Ukraine. That was the main message, and really providing Ukraine with all the necessary weapons and resources it needs in order to kind of resist the ongoing Russian invasion, which is now in its 3rd year. And as we heard there, President Biden made the point that this is really not just about Ukraine, but it is really about the entire security of Europe, which is threatened by this kind of ongoing invasion. And this is a message that President Biden has repeated in recent days in France, both at commemorations to mark the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings in Normandy, but also when he met Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in Paris yesterday. The message being, of course, that the US, will stay the course and will stand by Ukraine for the long haul. He underlined the importance of defending freedom and democracy, and he also reaffirmed, the US's commitment to the transatlantic relationship and to the NATO Defense Alliance. What we also heard from the two leaders today was also a strong affirmation of ties between the two nations. President Biden said these ties are kind of rooted in strong shared values. France is often called the oldest ally of the US. The diplomatic ties that bind these two countries really date back to the American Revolutionary War in the 18th century and the alliance during World War II. And this is something that President Biden referred to today in his press statement.
And now, Sonia, we know that in the past there had been some tension between these two leaders. Was there any sign of that in their meeting this time around?
Well, on a personal level, the two leaders are set to enjoy a really kind of warm and frank relationship. And I think that was very much on display today, both, during the welcome ceremony and military parade at the Champs-Élysées in central Paris, and also in their kind of meeting just before the press conference where we got some footage of the two leaders, sitting together. But of course, that despite those kind of warm relations, it doesn't mean that the two leaders, always see eye to eye on everything. For example, when it comes to Ukraine, President Macron's calls for potentially, stationing French troops in Ukraine has gotten a pretty frosty reception from the Biden administration. President Biden has expressed concern that if there is an attack on French forces by Russian troops, it could lead to a much wider escalation. The two also don't really see eye to eye when it comes to the war that is going on in Gaza. And a particular point of tension, of course, is the economy and the Inflation Reduction Act passed by the US in 2022.
Sonia Falnikar reporting for us from Paris. Thank you so much.